is next one is really a technology program, and it's going to be a little bit different. IMTAL is the International Museum Theater Alliance. They don't do necessarily demonstrations, but they do plays, shows, etc. So this next gentleman is going to do a one-person show. This show is called About a Door. I want to get this one right. It is the winner of the Lipsky Playwriting Award. The author is Chris Bresky. He's not here, but the gentleman doing it is Doug Kohler. Doug is the coordinator for show and floor programs at Discovery Place in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what it has to do with technology, this is a true story. This is something actually happened in the space program. If you are a NASA person, you know about it. The rest of you may or may not. So you'll find out about it now. This is going to be different. This is going to be cool. And let's have a big round of applause for Douglas Kohler.
You must be in the VIP tour. I'm sorry I'm late. No, maybe you're early. Either way, apologies. Welcome to Mission Control. Who's been here in Houston before? Anybody? Yeah? I'm sorry it smells a little like stale coffee and old feet around here. We haven't had a chance to clean up since splashdown of Gemini 12 last week. But let's hear it for Buzz Aldrin and Jim Lovell for completing the final Gemini mission. We're one step closer to the moon, folks. You know, Buzz's spacewalk went a whole lot smoother than the first attempt back in Gemini 4. That was June of '65. That's almost a year and a half ago. Oh, that's a story for you. So, Gemini 4. And Gemini 4 was the first flight controlled from here in Houston. And it was supposed to be the very first American spacewalk. Now, I don't know what y'all read about it, but it was all over the news. I was sitting right over there during the mission. I got the real story. It all hinges on the opening and closing of a door. So, 2 new astronauts, Ed White, Jim McDivitt, are chosen by NASA to fly Gemini 4. Luckily, their capsule communicator, the Capcom, the main point of contact here in Houston, is Gus Grissom, who's already been in space twice. Now, as I said, Gemini 4 is supposed to be the very first time that U.S. astronauts are going to attempt the very dangerous feat of walking in space. So having Gus here in Mission Control, well, that's incredibly important. All right, so the 2 astronauts, Ed and Jim, they've been in space for about 3 hours. Right? And that spacewalk, it's coming up fast. There is a whole lot of preparation to do, and the planning is, it's taken longer than they expected. So Jim, he radios down to Gus that they'd like to have one more orbit. Now, Gus, remember, he was a Mercury astronaut. He flew Gemini 3, so he understands what's at stake up there, and he gives them the go-ahead for one more trip around the Earth. Now, remember how I said that this all hinges on a door? Well, the door, the hatch of the Gemini 4 spacecraft had never been opened in space before. All right, so Ed and Jim finished their checklist, and Ed goes to open the door. And it won't open. Now, they got to weigh the dangers, right? If they open the door, but they can't get it closed before descent, they'll burn alive on re-entry. Now, if they don't open it, they have to 86 the entire spacewalk, and Gus is going to be mad. So, Ed says to Jim that he would like him to fix that door, and Jim says, well, you know, if we can get that thing open, I can probably get it closed. That's good enough for Ed. So, now, Gemini orbits back into communication range over Hawaii, and Gus down at Mission Control, he says, hey, you ready for the spacewalk? Jim says they're ready, but he says nothing about the broken door. So Gus gives him the go-ahead. Right? All right, now, so, Ed, He goes to open an already unlocked door now. He's got to stand on his seat. He's a little wobbly there, zero gravity. He's trying hard not to hit the inside switches with his boots. Now, gets his head up out of the capsule. He looks around. He's out in space for the very first time, and he says, "What a view, by golly." Right? And the 12-minute clock starts now. All right, so down in Mission Control, Gus wants an update. Gemini 4, Houston Capcom. There's no answer. Gemini 4, Houston Capcom. All right, something's not right. Well, as it turns out, when Jim switched their radio from push to talk to Vox for the spacewalk, it cut us off. Now, Jim and Ed can hear each other fine. Down here on the ground, we can hear them, but for some reason in Vox mode, Jim and Ed cannot hear us. Meanwhile, 100 miles up, Ed's walking in space. By golly, I feel like $1 million. He's floating and he's spinning, he's standing on his head. The time is running out. All right, so down here on the ground, things are starting to get a little tense. Right? Ed's spacewalk, that's taken longer than he expected. It's really pushing the time limit. The controllers, they're on pins. The astronauts have 3 minutes, and he's still not in the capsule. They know that they got to get ahead of the darkness because they got to fix that door in daylight. Now, by now, Gus has tried to hail the capsule 40 times in 12 minutes. Still no answer, right? Now, at that moment, on the radio, we can hear Ed say to Jim that he can see Texas as he's floating over. He looks down and says, he thinks he can even make out Houston. So they can see Houston as plain as day, but for nothing, they cannot hear us. All right, so, meanwhile, here in the capsule, old Jim's thinking, well, wonder if Mission Control's got anything to say about that. So, he pushes over the radio back to push to talk, right? Hey, Gus, this is Jim. You got any message for us? Gemini 4, get back in. Right? So, by now, they're at 14 minutes, which is 2 minutes over their cutoff. Gus is still floating out there, right? We're starting to lose radio contact. It's getting weaker and weaker. Gus, his tether's 25 feet long. It has taken him too long to get back in zero gravity. They're chasing ahead of the light, right? Radio signal's weak. Gemini 4, give me an update. Gemini 4, give me an update. And the radio goes quiet. Moments later, the light from the sun is gone. And somehow, Ed finds his way back into the capsule. And he reaches down. And he goes to lock that door. And it won't lock. Now, Jim McDivitt promised Ed White that he could fix that door. He was not about to go back on his word. So Jim reaches over Ed and all his equipment because he knows that the gears he's got to realign are inside a small panel on that busted door. Here's the problem. He's got a big old suit on, a big fat hand. So he reaches over and shoves those fat fingers into the panel. Now, the gears that he has to turn are very sharp. There is no oxygen in the cabin. He knows that if he tears that glove, he's going to decompress or probably kill him. Takes a breath, and he recalls the instructions from the technician, showed him how to fix it. It's different up here in space, though. It's dark, zero gravity. He's got these fat fingers, and then the door latches, and that thing locks up, sweet as you please. Well, the cabin fills with oxygen, and two of them, they breathe a sigh of relief. Ed White, Jim McDivitt had just done what no other American had ever done before. They successfully accomplished the first U.S. spaceman. Which almost didn't happen on account of one single door. Now, I don't want you to fret. We all found out about the door when they got back. We fixed it before the next flight. Lessons learned. And I think it probably even contributed to Gemini 12's success last week. You know, I wonder what they're going to do with the capsules now that Gemini is ending and Apollo is starting up. Probably end up in a museum someday, huh? Oh, speaking of Apollo, Ed White and Gus Grissom are scheduled to fly on the upcoming Apollo 1 mission along with Roger Chaffin. So, safe travels to them. I cannot think of a finer crew. And for you, you fine crew, enjoy the rest of your day here in Houston, and keep your eyes on the moon. We won't get there yet. Thanks.